Good evening. I would like to call to order the regular meeting of the Monee Village Board of Trustees for Wednesday, March 9th, 2022 at 6:35. If I could please ask Kevin DeVries from Monee Free Methodist to come up for the invocation.
Thank you. Would you pray with me? Father God, you tell us in your word to be still and know that you are God. You will be exalted in every nation. You will be exalted in all the earth. And so we pause now to be still in the busyness of our schedules, coming here to this place to recognize that every good and perfect gift comes from you. Lord, we thank you for this community. We thank you for this country. We thank you for the many privileges that it gives to us. And Lord, we pray that we would use those, that we would steward those privileges to better our fellow man, and that you would just be with us right now in this meeting. Give wisdom to our mayor and trustees and all the decisions that will be made. We just ask for your grace. And Lord, we come to you also in this time in our world where there is much strife and war. And Lord, we pray for peace. Lord, we pray that you would just give wisdom to our world leaders, to our president, and that you would just bring peace, Lord, where there is war. And so, Lord, help us in each part of our neighborhoods where we live to bring your love to our fellow man. And thank you for your presence that is with us now. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Gonzalez.
Here.
Trustee Horn.
Here.
Trustee Razik. Trustee Rakes.
Present.
Trustee Wilson.
Present.
Trustee Udris.
Thank you. Open to the public, agenda items only. Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda. May I please have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
I'll second it.
Any discussion on that? Roll call, please.
Trustee Horn.
Yes.
Trustee Rakes.
Yes.
Trustee Wilson.
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez.
Yes.
Now moving on to the clerk's report.
Thank you, Mayor Bogues. We will now have the swearing in of the new police officer, Ryan Boren. You can raise your right hand, repeat after me, insert your name after I.
I, Ryan Bourne,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
as police officer
as police
for the
officer
Village of Monee
for the Village of Monee
Police Department
Police
to the
Department
best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you, appreciate it.
If you'll indulge me for 1 minute, I would like to welcome Patrolman Boren to the family. He is an experienced police officer who has served previously with Stager and with the Department of Children and Family Services as an investigator. He's been a part-time officer with us for the last year, so he comes to us ready to plug and play. He's out there on the street working already. Just want to welcome him and his family and let you know that Officer Boren here had a couple other opportunities to go to some other suburban police departments, and he chose to be a part of the Monee family.
And lastly, once again, I just want to remind everyone who has not filled out their statement of economic interest, please check your mailboxes and do so. We have until May 1st before there's any fees or penalties incurred. In the report.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to my report. Number one, discussion approval fiscal year 2022 amended budget. At the budget meeting, which was held March 2nd, the fiscal year 2022 amended budget was introduced. The trustees have given their approval. The next step is to post it so it is available for public review for 15 days. It will be posted outside on the bulletin board as well as available inside Village Hall. If there are any questions or comments, Daryl or Ruben will be available. The next budget meeting will be held April 6th at 6 p.m. here at Village Hall. Item 2, discussion/approval to accept trustee letter of resignation. Trustee Rasek has submitted his letter of resignation. The village would like to thank Trustee Rasek for his 8.5 years as an elected official, and we wish him all the best with his new employment. May I please have a motion to accept Trustee Rasek's letter of resignation, which has been signed and notarized?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Rakes,
Yes.
Trustee Wilson,
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez,
Yes.
Trustee Horn.
Yes.
Item number 3, discussion/approval to declare trustee vacancy. Due to the resignation, may I please have a motion to declare Trustee Rasek's office as vacant?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Wilson,
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez,
Yes.
Trustee Horn,
Yes.
Trustee Rakes.
Yes.
Item number 4, discussion/approval to nominate trustee appointment. With the absence of Trustee Rasek and now his resignation, the residents of Monee deserve immediate representation. The last election found 4 candidates vying for 3 positions. John Henson, one of the candidates, has garnered the support of the residents, as is evidenced by the election results. John has remained invested and active in the village, and it is with the advice and consent of the board that I nominate John Henson to fill the position of trustee. May I please have a motion to nominate John Henson to fill the vacant trustee seat?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Gonzalez,
Yes.
Trustee Horn,
Yes.
Trustee Rakes,
Yes.
Trustee Wilson.
Yes.
Can I ask him? Can I ask him? Mr. Henson, could you please come forward to be sworn in?
If you can please raise your right hand and repeat after me, insert your name after I,
I, John Henson,
having been duly elected, having been duly appointed
having been duly appointed
to the office of trustee
to the office of trustee
for the Village of Monee,
for the Village of Monee,
County of Will,
County of Will,
State of Illinois,
State of Illinois,
aforesaid,
aforesaid,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of trustee
of the office of trustee
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
What you need? Yeah, right there.
Moving on to the administrator's report. Ruben?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. First, I want to say congratulations to Chief, to Ryan Boren and his family. your team, your department. That's awesome. Also to Trustee Henson, welcome aboard. Congratulations. First item under my report is introduce Jack Rabin from Kroll's Holding. And Mr. Rabin is going to do a presentation and just share about a proposal he'd like the board to consider.
Yes, excuse me. Thank you for having me down here this evening. We find these pre-development meetings very helpful to kind of gauge a temperature check from both your perspective and the community at large for these projects. We really like to go where industrial development is wanted. So trying to get an idea for what we're looking at and kind of give a background of who Kroll Holdings is. So yeah, I'll jump right into it, all right? All right, so at a high level, Kroll Holdings, kind of part of a 70-year development legacy across the U.S. As it currently stands, the company is broken up into two arms right now. There's an investment arm and a development arm. It is with that development arm that I work for. In that industrial arm, right, we are spread across the top 15 industrial markets across the U.S. As it currently stands, about 15 plus projects a year across those offices, totaling about $2 billion in project value. As you can see on this map here, spread out across the main industrial corridors in the U.S. So for our office based out of Chicago, our mandate is focused on the greater Chicago area, as well as southeast Wisconsin and northwest Indiana. So a few projects we've done in the past have given you kind of an idea of the type of product that we were able to construct. We had about a 250,000 square foot project in Shanahan that was fully leased and recently sold. There's also about 113,000 square foot building we constructed in Franklin Park near O'Hare, also fully leased. There is a 630,000 square foot park that we developed in Elgin that has been since sold to a different capital partner. And recently a 1.1 million square foot industrial park in Bolingbrook that is fully leased and recently sold. As you can tell, we kind of run the gamut between all across the Chicago market, and the projects themselves run the gamut between smaller buildings into full-blown industrial parks. We're used to working across different communities and kind of accommodating different needs. And this one you can kind of tell it's part of Bolingbrook's main industrial corridor. There were some wetland concerns there, yeah, and you can see how we kind of worked around and integrated it into the community at large. All right, moving on down. So the site in question right now is commonly known as, I believe, Rainbow Farms is the what you guys might know it as, down on Ridgeland Ave. So going into the site location, so as you can see on the map there, it's right across from those Amazon facilities that have been constructed. The current zoning for the property is M1, so warehousing, distribution, light manufacturing uses. That zoning has been kind of called out in the comprehensive plan for the community to kind of continue that industrial corridor. So what we're proposing to bring to the town is in line with those future plans. Yeah, as I mentioned again, we really want to go. We're trying to figure out areas to be where industrial is wanted and welcomed. We're trying to meet those plans and kind of fit with your broader economic goals for the community. Yeah. Oh, and on top of that, we are aware of the residential community to the kind of southwest of the site. We're cognizant of that fact. I drove the site earlier this week. We're trying to, and I'll get to the site plan in a second, we're trying to come up with ways to design the site to have the most positive impact on the community in that general area as a whole. So going into the site plan right now. So as you can see, it's a little hard to see on the screen there. It's about a 320,000 square foot cross-dock facility. Cross-dock just means there's going to be docks on both sides. That's how you get added depth in the buildings themselves. The proposal right now will kind of envisions a widening of the road at the ingress egress points to have a dedicated turn lane for safety. Obviously, we're going to have to work with the Amazon facility across the way, but that's something we look forward to doing. The building itself, the way it's oriented, and I'll get to some examples in a little bit here. We have the stormwater pond in the front, so it'll be a wet bottom pond in the front. We typically add like a fountain or something in there with some lights to make it a little more aesthetically pleasing for the community. The building itself will have some nice fenestrations on it, and the office frontage are going to be in these corners on the northwest and southwest corner there. We'll kind of have some glass frontage there, and the car parking will be facing the street. Again, trying to make it a bit more aesthetically pleasing to kind of uplift the image of the area a little bit as well. And then the buildings themselves, we try to kind of go that extra mile. We found that it pays off both for the community and also our capital partners seem to like. Again, as I mentioned, the glass offices, the fenestrations, the coloring, architectural lighting on the building themselves. So we try to make these, there's really a Class A type product that we're trying to bring to the community. This building right here is a kind of a different view of the one we just completed in that Bolingbrook Park that I mentioned. This is a much bigger building. This is about twice the size, but kind of get an idea. We do all concrete paving, which shows a lot better in general. You kind of see the pond in the front here with the landscaping and then that kind of office frontage right there. So all the cars would be in the front there. And that's kind of the whole kind of idea, integrate it into the broader district. So just kind of getting some examples of what we'd be looking to do at this building itself. This is an example of one of those office frontages. You kind of see the usage of glass in there, as well as some of those fenestrations on the precast, so that kind of embossing into the precast itself gives that little texture to the building, as well as the coloring to add a little depth and texture as well. This is an example of what it kind of look like at night. You kind of see the architectural lighting. The lighting on the building themselves, the wall packs aim down, so it lights up the building itself, but doesn't project light outwards. So we try to keep the light emission from the site to a bare minimum. Again, that kind of comes with those wall pack lightings. As you can see, the pond here, we like to put a fountain in there. This looks nicer. A little lighting going at night as well. Moving on. This is kind of more of a zoomed out view. This is that Bolingbrook Park again. As you can see, a couple different ponds in there. We try to get some nice landscaping around as well. And in this instance, we actually did work with the municipality to construct this road here to connect, this is Veterans Parkway, to Wyndham, kind of reconfigure that area. Just kind of give you another example of what we typically do. And then, yeah, that's kind of the gist of it right there. Happy to answer any questions you guys have. And I appreciate you guys for your consideration.
I have a couple questions for you. Thanks for coming out tonight.
Sure.
Where's your office located?
We're located in the West Loop in Chicago.
Okay, so a little bit of a drive.
Yeah.
So this is, just to make sure I understand, this is a spec building?
Yes.
You do not have a tenant lined up
There's no
as of
tenant
yet?
currently lined up, but we do know there's a supply problem across Chicago. There is extremely high demand. We're already in talks with tenants to potentially lease the space right now. Again, that's at a preliminary high level right now, but there is interest in the area.
Very good. Certainly. Now, I noticed over 300 truck parking spots on that. Was that right?
It's a little less than that. So the trailer parking themselves, this is something that tenants have been requesting and demanding for a while now as the supply chain has kind of evolved. It's really a way, more trailer stalls doesn't mean more trucks necessarily. It's more of a place for logistics reasons and timing for them to be able to store a trailer there. So another truck can come, pick it up, drop it off, and other trucks don't have to wait and queue in different areas. They can come drop off their load and move along. That's kind of the idea there.
I guess my point is that, it's going to bring a significant amount of tractor-trailer traffic. down that way. Now, I'm glad you mentioned widening Ridgeland. Would you be open to widening Monee Manhattan as well? Because, I mean, getting from the expressway to Ridgeland is, you're traversing Monee Manhattan for, I don't know, quarter mile or 400 yards or something?
So that's something we would explore doing for sure. That, again, we'd hope that our neighbors, industrial neighbors, would take part in something like that. And if something where if they had access to necessarily TIF dollars or something of that nature, we would hope to have a level playing field across the area. It would put our project at a disadvantage if we were the ones shoulder that burden ourselves. But that's something we're definitely open to do.
Thank you.
So just to really be out of what Doug just said, if we're aware of the 2 traffic studies that we had done in the village.
Yes, I'm where one was completed, or a couple were completed. I haven't dug into those too deeply yet, though. We do know the trucks will be coming from the north and going north, so we're not too worried about anything going south. And most traffic studies would probably concur with that. But yeah.
The people that are showing some interest right now, do you know if they have any intentions of putting in a spotting trailer service there to keep, how, well, I don't know if you know how, but a lot of the warehouses can get backed up quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times they'll put the truck and the driver and the trailer out on the street.
Yeah.
We don't want to be blocking traffic or causing potential safety hazard.
For sure.
So if the company that you're talking to, if they were considering putting a spotting service in there, it would eliminate all of that.
Yeah, so if you look at the design here, we have an interior ring road on this southern end. It's kind of hard to tell here. I know the coloring is not the best, but that interior ring road there would be a place where if a truck were to come in, they could use that to kind of queue going, and it loops around the back. That ring road serves 2 purposes, really for truck queuing, and also to kind of make sure that cars and trucks are separate for safety purposes.
Right.
Most capital partners are demanding that these days. I know that wasn't always the case. It has multiple benefits. So yeah. And again, the trailer parking does help with that as well. We don't have the people waiting just to drop off their load. They can just pull in, drop it off, leave.
Exactly.
And they're not queuing in the streets. So that's the idea.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question, Trustee Wilson. Your Bowling Brook facility, is it a cross dock also?
That
is that
one
more
was,
of a warehouse? Yes. How many tenants do you have in that cross dock?
That's a single tenant.
Single tenant?
That's almost 600,000 square foot building.
Okay. Any issues over there that traffic-wise or that they've had?
No, that's in the center of their industrial park too. It's the whole area. Kind of the same thing that the master plan here is kind of calling for. Everything's been kind of geared and planned for that type of use and surrounding uses.
Here in Monee, you're looking at a single tenant or multiple occupancy?
We'll design it so as you kind of see in this plan, you'll see the car parking on both ends. Because we're doing it on a speculative basis, you can't bank on just having one tenant. So this will be designed to be divided. Realistically, for 2 tenants, that's kind of what we're planning for. With it being a cross dock, you can maybe chop it into 4. It just becomes kind of messy to do it. So you probably want to have one demising wall going across the middle this way, running north-south, and then tenants that have access to the east and west side. And again, that ring road comes into play there as well, where the tenants can easily access the far side of the building.
Thank you.
Yeah. Timetable? So from a closing perspective, I forget exactly how that's being structured right now. I believe we hold 90 days of diligence for that. The biggest bottleneck to the entire process for us is precast panels. There's a huge delay right now, and there's a shortage across the market. So we're working with our contractor, who's quite large and able to buy things out. But as it currently stands, you order precast panels right now, you're not getting those until like April right now. Yeah, so traditionally in the Chicago market, precast is what's used. There's potential to maybe go tilt. It hasn't really been done in the Chicago market before. It's been difficult. So the weather's the big issue there. With tilt, you pour the slab first, right? Then you lay the frames and you pour the actual walls like on the pad, and then you tilt the wall up. With precast, it's poured off-site in a controlled facility. It's then taken to the site on a flatbed truck, right? So with tilt, we'd love to go tilt here because we can put it up much more quickly. It's just a matter of if we can get through an entitlement process in a timely manner, and also, and we get our diligence done in a timely manner as well. So we know this is in line with the comprehensive plan and the zoning. I don't think any variances would even really be needed for this type of facility. So yeah, if we were able to get through quick enough, if we were able to break ground in August, we'd try to get a building up this year. But again, there's a bunch of variables at play there. So hopefully that answers your question.
Okay, Mr. Rabin, thank you very much for your time. This was a presentation and a discussion only at this point.
Yep.
The next few weeks, there'll be some internal discussion with the board.
Well, thank you for your consideration, everybody. Thank you.
Okay, moving to the next item under my report is Janet Blue from New Hope Church, representing the Monee Alliance of Churches Community Care Response Program. It's all yours.
Thank you. Good evening, Board. Tonight I want to tell you a little bit about our Community Care Response Program. I want to give you a little bit of background and then just highlight it. You've all got the full report, and of course I'm totally open to any questions. This program was born out of a MAC meeting, the Monee Alliance of Churches, and of course it's still a work in progress. At the last MAC meeting, we presented the full program, and Chief was also present at that meeting. To give you some background, the Monee Police Department consistently deals with events occurring within the village, including homelessness, human trafficking, and members of the community with immediate financial and other tangible needs. 90% of these cases can be and will be resolved at the officer level. MPD will not call for assistance unless the victim agrees to it. Most of these cases are transient or mental health issues. Most will take the temporary help offered and move on. The MPD will determine if there are mental health issues and refer them to a medical facility. MPD also tries to contact family members whenever possible. At the officer's discretion, they take the person to a local hotel and often pay for a night's accommodation out of their own pocket. Many times, especially when the need is in the middle of the night, the officers will simply feed the need. They'll either give them food, give them accommodation, whatever they need, and it's coming out of their own pocket. Representatives from the Monee Alliance of Churches may also be contacted by MPD on occasion, thankfully not at 2 a.m. We appreciate that. And on occasion, the individuals themselves will contact us. The churches may provide short-term financial assistance to cover accommodation in a local motel, and further assistance of donations of tangible needs are distributed to them. So sometimes we get folks who are homeless, and they're on the streets. Or we'll get people who have been thrown out of their house for whatever reason, or have fled because of domestic violence, or we've had women who've come out of hospital having been battered in the first place. So it's an emergent need, and we try to meet that need as best we can. And sometimes sometimes the church is unaware that another church has been approached. I know when I have been approached as a member of my church, I'll contact other churches and they'll say, yeah, they've approached us as well. So, it's a case of them just trying to get as much as they can from as many churches as they can. So this program, one of the designs behind it was to try and coordinate all of that help and record it. So the scope of the work for this program is the goal is to provide a seamless support to individuals in crisis through the Monee Police Department, a referral, or a warm handoff for them to a community resource. So an example could be that we had a lady who was homeless, 9 children, and she came into the village, and we managed to get her accommodation, but she needed more than that. She needs a house, right? She needs a home. She needs to make sure the kids are in school and all sorts of other things. So we've compiled, our churches, as a group of churches, we've compiled a list of these resources, and myself and one other person from our compassion team met with this lady so that she had all of the resources at her fingertips. So we're helping her for tomorrow, not just putting a roof over her head tonight. So the scope of work is to provide not just financial assistance, but that follow-up assistance as well going forward. Non-emergent transport care and coordination, all part of the package that we're looking to offer. The criteria that we're looking for this program, the criteria we've set is that if there is an emergency need, the CCRP, a community care response program, we will assess and evaluate each request for assistance. On our current compassion team, we have members who used to be members of DCFS. We have members who work for Department of Human Services. We have a medical professional on the team, as well as others. Our goal is to give them accommodation for that one night and no more. It's just to help them with that emergency need. Any request over and above that emergency need, then the team will review that, because we will interview every person. One of our team will call them, we'll talk about where they're at, why they're there, what their plans are, their own resources, and then the compassion team will review whether or not we'll give them additional services. When someone is identified, often the MPD have already identified them and they've already met the need themselves if it's in the middle of the night. But if one is identified by the program, we will send them to the MPD so that they can do a check on them. It's simply, it's a really a base level a check on their license, and it gives us a little more of a comfort knowing that they've been down, that they're willing to go to the police department in the first place and have their license checked. So that gives us a comfort level as well. So that's the base of the program. The program can be as big as we want it to be. This is the baseline. This is about giving them financial support, helping our Monee police officers to give them the support they need to give the residents or anybody who happens to stop in. We've had women who've been dumped at truck stops. We've had a car crash where they've got no money for their bus ticket, and we've checked these out. They're real needs. So it can be a one-off, but it could also be this family of 9 who just had nowhere to live, and they fled because they were afraid in the location that they were at. So the program itself is financial need, but it's much more than that. We want to make sure that we're doing that follow-up with families who need it to try and make sure they get in contact with the people they need to be in touch with. We've already made special arrangements with the Quality Inn. They've given us a great deal to offer to the people who are in need that night. And what our goal is to buy vouchers from the Quality Inn to give to the police officers, to give out to people who are in need, obviously at their discretion. And then they will make a note of who they gave that voucher to for the hotel accommodation and when, and we'll record all of that. So we'll have a record going forward of who used, where that money went and who it went to and when it went to. So we're prepared to give an accounting of any funds that are received to the Monee Alliance of Churches meeting every month, and it's open. I mean, I'm going to be the treasurer in the first instance, but it's so anyone can look at the numbers at any time, because we do feel it's important that we take good care of the money that's been given to us to support other people. We've also got gas cards and food vouchers to give out. A couple of our restaurants in the village have been outstanding. They've given us, if we buy a gift card for $25, they're giving us another one on top of that, so we get 2 for 1. So if someone's just hungry, if they've run out of gas, we've got gas cards for them, just to get them where they need to go. And these are for gas only, no alcohol or anything else they can buy with them. So we've had donations of some of those also. That's the program in a nutshell. We're looking for help with our funding. We've already reached out to all of the churches in the Monee Alliance of churches, and we're asking the board today to consider our program and approve it going forward. Any questions?
I don't have a question, but I would like to thank you, Janet, for being part of that. I think personally it's an excellent program.
Thank you.
And I think it's going to do really well, and I appreciate you giving your time to make that successful, because I know it will be.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I would like to say the same thing. I know this is something very near and dear to your heart, and it's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Actually, I do have one more question, and I don't know. Back in my past job, I had the occasion to work with the Will County Community Foundation. And I wonder, this, because you have a business plan and everything all laid out, this might be something that they would actually really consider too. I wondered if you'd heard of it or ever had occasion to use it as well.
Yeah, we have heard of it. We haven't reached out to them just yet, though. And this program is co-led by myself and David Holston. He's the leader. We have a compassion team behind that. And, of course, full support from our pastor, Pastor Hunt. Any other questions? No? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Janet. Okay, moving to the next item under my report is Christy Holston from Demoni Heritage Center. Without further ado, Christy, it's all yours.
Good evening, everyone. Just a report on how we're doing and what the newest things on the agenda are at the Heritage Center. First of all, we are reprinting the history of Monee, the Our Roots Are Deep. That should be ready for sale in about 2 weeks' time. We've been working very diligently on it. So it's basically just a repeat. There is a bit of an index and a bio added to it. Our long-term project is to write a sequel to it, because it has been 50 years or so since we had that. We have a sesquicentennial coming up in the village of Monee in 2024. So that's something for everyone to keep on their radar. The Centennial Celebration in 1974 was a major party and brought the village together very, very much. It was a week-long or more celebration, and a lot of planning went into that. So we are hoping that together with the village, we'll be able to spearhead efforts on that. So just to kind of keep that ahead. But in the meantime, $35 is Our Roots Are Deep. We make a little bit of it's a bit of a fundraiser, but for the most part, it's just there's been a demand for that, and it does contain absolutely tons of information about the early history of Monee. Secondly, our book clubs are going along apace. We have a mystery book club that meets the first Thursday of the month, and a history book club that meets the first Thursday in the evening. So the mystery is in the middle of the day. We've had about 10 people, I think, 10 to 12 people, so that's a really good start for a book club, and everyone is invited to come to that. We just finished reading Founding Brothers, about the early history of the American country, and next we'll be reading Founding Mothers by Cokie Roberts. We have another new event coming up. It's a scrapbooking group that will be meeting on the first Friday of the month. We have someone who does scrapbooking professionally who'll be coming in and leading it. There'll be a $10 charge on it, but what they're going to key in on is making a scrapbook of your family history. So it's a good tie-in with what we do. So we are inviting everyone to that. Also, we had a couple of really good events in March. We had Larry McClellan come and speak, had about 35 people there for that on the Underground Railroad in our area. Then we also had a Saturday event where we had two different speakers. One person interpreted a woman in the Civil War and talked about the hidden meaning in quilts and how they were signs for the Underground Railroad. And the second was our famous Abe Lincoln, who came and spoke in the afternoon, and we had about 60 people in attendance. One new thing that we're working with the school district. We've got an advisory board, and Dr. Kara Conglianis, who's the superintendent, is on our advisory board. And one of the needs that we can immediately fill is all of the graduating seniors needing community service hours. So we have plenty to do at the Heritage Center, and we're putting together a program in conjunction with the school district to make sure we get volunteers and spread our message and also fill a need for the students. Another thing that we're doing is these last events that we had were broadcast on Facebook Live. You can find them on our website, on our Facebook page, or on our brand new YouTube channel. So please take a look at that. And the new event on Saturday is going to be a report on the Vodder Cemetery. Most people are aware that about 2 years ago, there was an archaeological dig up kind of behind where Doc's Drugs is and where the Dollar General is. There had been a cemetery found there, a family cemetery, and that was on property that the village was in the process of acquiring, so there needed to be due diligence on that. There were 3 graves found, some very, very interesting things in the graves, and the archaeologists from Springfield who conducted that dig will be there to tell everybody the results of the dig. That will be this Saturday, and they will be speaking at 1:30. And the last thing that I have is I wanted to mention, I don't know if anybody knows this, but there is a program with Amazon. It's called Amazon Smiles. It's basically, instead of going to Amazon.com and ordering everything that you need, you go to smiles.amazon.com, exact same site, but when you get to that part, when you go through that portal, you can pick from a drop-down menu of approved charities, and a very, very small portion will go to the charities. And the Monee Historical Society is one of those, so if everyone would please consider going through smiles.amazon.com as opposed to just amazon.com, we could augment our funding that way. We are a 501c3. All of our people are volunteers, and our only sources of revenue are donations, and we're working on grants. So the Amazon Smiles would be a very nice thing to put a little bit of operating money into our coffers. Anyone have any questions?
Christy, if someone wanted to volunteer, who do they contact?
There's a portal on the website that they can send an email, and anytime they can drop by, of course, but Facebook and on the website, those would be the best places to start out. We are in dire need of volunteers, and we have many, many, many different projects. We're still working with GSU. We have a new intern starting this week, and he will be helping and doing different projects. He's going to be working on our social media platforms for credit hours at GSU, and we've also had a little bit of interest already from high school students at Crete Monee in volunteering for their community service hours. So all volunteers are welcome, and all new members are welcome as well. Whether you have a lot of time to volunteer or whether you just want to support us with the $25 per year membership fee and just hear a little bit about what's going on, that's fine too. Nobody twists your arm to do more than you're capable or ready to do as far as volunteering goes, but we'd love to have new members. Any other questions? We have not, but I will be more, would you by any chance have a contact information for them? Love to reach out. Yeah, we like getting partners everywhere, so. Keep them coming. Anybody, we will be more than happy to reach out to anyone. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Before you leave, Christy, can you leave that information for Amazon with us? We'll put that on our website.
I just happen to have
Awesome.
the
Just leave it right
instructions
there.
on how to do it.
Perfect.
So we can run off copies of that, and I can email a digital copy of that so that people are, because it's very, very simple, but, you know, who remembers that? So we'll be happy to put it on the website.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay, the last item on my report is professional service agreement with Robinson Engineering for the Court Street Water Main Improvement Project, which includes Pinewood Lane, Astor Place, and Oak Road. As the village continues to develop, maintain, and expand its water services, a residential section in the village has been targeted in 2022 for new water main infrastructure. This project will require a coordinated effort with a professional engineering service to accomplish this mission. Village staff requests that the Village Board of Trustees consider entering into a professional services agreement with Robinson Engineering for the Court Street Water Main Project. This project consists of water main along the following roadways: Court Street from Oak Road to the east side of Village Hall, Pinewood Lane from Main Street to Astor Place from Oak Road to Pinewood Lane, and Oak Road from Court Street to Astor Place. The proposed cost for the basic engineering services is outlined as follows. Topographic survey and property line determination is $28,000. Engineering design is $75,000. Easement documents, if needed, are $1,500 per parcel. And reimbursable expenses, and those rates are set forth in your attachments. The action requested is a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the professional services agreement with Robinson Engineering in the amount of $103,000.00, in addition to any easement documents, $1,500 per parcel if needed, or any reimbursable expenses as outlined in the attachment.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Mayor, if I may. If I can, trustee, congratulations, but I would respectfully request that you vote present until the next board meeting, so, and I can explain that later, and, okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Rakes?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Henson?
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you, Board. End of my report.
Okay, moving on to the officials' reports. Public Works, Trustee Horn.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We've had a nice respite for a week or so from the snow. So we've been, of course, doing routine maintenance in the Public Works Department, but also we've been doing pothole patching, which is ongoing, of course, as the roads shift. And we're also beginning to repair parkways that were damaged by snow plows over the winter. So if there, you know, and that brings up the point, if there is damage that occurs because of snow plowing, please let us know, and we'll address that issue. Now that snow is melted, spring cleaning has begun with trash pickup and street sweeping. Bridge inspections are scheduled for March 10th. Potholes that opened up on the Court Street Bridge have been temporarily patched while we await the inspector's recommendations. Iroquois is planning to resume work on Margaret Street on Monday, March 14th. The next step in this project is complete pressure and laboratory testing on the new water main, followed by the transferring of service lines from the old main to the new main. And Iroquois' asphalt plant is expected to open in mid-April, after which the final two roads from last year's road program will be milled and resurfaced. Unless there's any questions, that's the end of my report.
Moving on to Parks and Recreation, Trustee Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple things, just a brief reminder that this weekend starts daylight savings times, and remember, we spring ahead on Saturday evening and to check your smoke detector batteries. The next newsletter will be coming out the last week of March, so be sure to look for it in your mailboxes. It's coming up soon. And new this year, we're partnering up with Monee's Shoops for Pancakes with the Easter Bunny at Shoops. Tickets can be purchased at the event or for the event at Shoops, which will be held on Saturday, April 9th from 8 to 11 a.m. The breakfast includes pancakes, sausage, and a beverage, and it'll be $8 per adult and $6 for children 10 years and under. So this is kind of exciting. We've never done it right at Shoop, so this is nice. April 16th is the community egg hunt sponsored by the Monee Alliance of Churches with 5,000 eggs. Join us from 9:30 to 10 for bunny pictures with your pups, from 10 to 10:30 for free coffee and donuts, and then 10:30 starts the egg hunt. The Village of Monee will be celebrating Earth Day by having community-wide cleanup week. We are encouraging all of our residents to clean up their neighborhoods from April 18th through the 23rd. Take a picture of your trash you've collected outside and email it to Diana at dkroll@villageofmonee.org. Whoever collects the most garbage outside will win a $100 gift certificate to the restaurant of your choice. Pictures are subject to and will be disqualified if they are fake or photoshopped. And this is something we're going to start up again too, and somebody brought it to a meeting last month. Our beautification committee, we would like to start that back up again, and so we're looking for residents who would like to join the beautification committee. We'll be meeting again. Our first meeting will be held at 5:45 at the Village Hall on Wednesday, April 13th. And a couple other things that kind of are park related, but not. Monee Women's Club. The next Monee Women's Club meeting is next Thursday, March 17th at 7 p.m., which we'll be having hosted by the Heritage Center. And again, save the date. The Monee Women's Club Vendor Fair and Business Showcase, we're changing things up, is going to be this year, April 30th. So if you're interested in being a vendor, part of a showcase, or to get involved, to please contact the Monee Women's Club for that. And along with that is our world famous now, our flower sale, which will be along with the vendor fair this year, and pickup will be on Saturday, April 30th as well, just before Mother's Day. End of report.
Thank you. Finance, Trustee Rakis.
The Village Finance Committee met last Wednesday, March 2nd, and discussed the fiscal year 2022 amended budget. We also discussed the fiscal year of 2020.
Can you speak into your microphone?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Some people tell me that it kind of, so I try to put it away, but okay. Okay. Let's see. The next Finance Committee meeting will be held April 6th at 6 p.m., and I encourage anybody that would like to attend to please be here. Let's see. The village is exploring the idea of creating a property tax rebate program. The administration is looking to create a fair and equitable program for all property owners in the village. Discussions regarding a property tax rebate program are just preliminary. Nothing has been approved as of yet. During the Finance Committee meeting, early discussion in regards to a new Department of Public Works building were had. Preliminary engineering has begun, and estimated numbers are expected to become available soon. Lastly, the administration is looking into ways to provide residents water and sewer services at a lower cost. The administration has previously done away with administrative fees. So, I've read my little note here, and now I would like to talk for a second. In my words, that the budget meeting, I would like to get something very clear. We have employees in this town that provide services for our residents. And our main goal here is to take care of our community. A lot of the different departments need different things. Does it get costly? Absolutely. But if you're giving a department half of what they need to do their job properly, then you're doing half the job, in my opinion. They have to have the tools in order to accomplish the end result. So there is no favoritism. This board, this administration, is nothing about being favorable to one department versus the other. It's equipping them all with what they ask. So far that I've been here, and I loved the committee meeting. I did. It was nice to see everyone come up and say what they did, but if you look at the people that are they're at the head of these departments, they're there for a reason. They could work any place else. The way our world is currently, people could get a job anywhere as long as they're willing to work. They choose to stay here. We have people here that's been here for many, many years. Michelle is one of them. And her experience, to lose a person that's had 20 plus years in our village, knows our people, knows their job. Please just understand, in order to make our departments function properly, it costs money. And it costs money to make money. And I believe this entire board wants to provide them with their necessary means. As far as our chief of police, in my opinion, he doesn't ask for enough. You got trucks that are 20 years old, they need to be replaced. Diana, I don't know how she functions with what she has in the past, because you make it look like it's absolutely beautiful. Every function I've ever been to that you've attended, that you have put out there, excellent, absolutely excellent. So thank you for that. So I guess I just needed to get that off my chest. There's so many things that this administration wants to do. There's so many things that the mayor and Ruben discuss and the board discusses. And we're not trying to spend your money. We're just trying to give you a better environment. We're trying to give you what you need. And that's going to take a little time, but I think we're making some really good strides here. I think we've done some really good stuff already. So I just needed to get that off my chest. So I hope you don't mind. And I would prefer that our employees ask for what they need than to sit back there and try to do a job without it. You had Ed. Ed was up here from the water department. He talked about a trailer he wanted to purchase. He could have just threw a number for $180,000 for a new truck. I know what those things cost. I buy them all the time. So he didn't. He came up with an option for $12,000. By the time he equips it, it's going to cost about 25 grand, 30 grand. He saved us $150,000. So that's all I wanted to say. Our people need things to function properly. So don't think we're just tossing money around out here like it's nothing. We're not. We're thinking about what we're doing, we're hearing what they're saying, and we're trying to provide what they need. Because ultimately, whatever we do for our police department, I know we technically don't really have a fire department, but we do. I have always believed, and I don't mean just Monee, I mean every city across everywhere. The heart of your town is your police department. Without it, It's, here, do I want to keep police safe? People say all the time, oh, Liz, she just loves police. I do love police, just like I love firemen, just like I love the military. I love any person, male, female, that will put on a uniform, go out there and serve and protect. Because I tell you right now, I'd never do it. Wouldn't do it. You couldn't pay me enough money to do that job. So instead of, some people say, oh, well, this one's got that and that one's got that. Here, let's give them what they need to have, as long as it don't break the bank. And let's run an operation here that is successful. I guess that's all I got to say. I just really need to get that off my chest. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Liz. Moving on to Economic Development, Trustee Wilson.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Well, I'd just like to start off by saying thank you to Anthony Razik for his years of service for the village. It's been a pleasure working alongside of him. And welcome aboard, John Henson. So hit the ground running, brother. We had one new business license issued since the last meeting, Neuter Construction, Engineering, and Maintenance Contractor located on Emerald Parkway. Village signage project is underway. Talks with Seafried and Northern have come to a close with fruitful results on redevelopment agreement. As you've all heard, Kroll Holdings has approached the village and referenced commercial development on the west end of town. End of report, Mayor.
Thank you. Moving on to the attorney's report, Larry.
Thank you, Mayor. I have two items for the board's consideration. The first item is a memo of understanding between the Village of Monee and Aqua, Illinois with respect to sanitary sewer service on property near Industrial Drive. We've had extensive discussions with the representatives from Aqua, and I believe it has been approved by Aqua, Illinois. Our main responsibility on this agreement is to inform them as to future users near Industrial Drive. It's up for the board's consideration. If it's appropriate, need a motion authorizing the mayor to execute the same on behalf of the Village of Monee.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second, Mayor.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Rakis?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Henson?
Present.
Thank you, Mayor. The next item for the board's consideration is an ordinance authorizing the purchase of real estate on Governor's Highway, 6 acres. If the board recalls, a motion was already made to this effect, but the soil tests have come back acceptable. So it would appear we would close this transaction 10 to 14 days. But we do need an ordinance approving the purchase of the property, and in connection with that, we'll have in that motion approval to wire transfer funds for this purchase, which should close again by the end of March.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion on this? Roll call, please.
Trustee Rakis?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Henson?
Present.
1997.
Moving on to unfinished business, item number 1, review approval to accept bid from the opening at the 2/9/22 meeting for the real estate located at Cleveland and Industrial Drive. That is, Gortman was purchasing the old Public Works area that we had, so they put in a bid for $500,000.
Yes, ma'am.
So if I can have a motion, please, to accept that bid.
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
I'll second it.
Any discussion on that? Roll call, please.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Rakes?
Yes.
Trustee Henson?
Present.
Item number 2, discussion approval, read the T-Mobile agreement that we are going to postpone to the next meeting because
ma'am.
we haven't heard back from them.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Then item number 3, discussion approval, read the mural ordinance. We're also going to postpone that till the following meeting.
Mayor Bogues, if I may, regards to the T-Mobile, this is the second time that it's been on unfinished business. It can't just remain and continue to be pushed on to the each one. It's the second time.
I still believe we can, Denisha. I'm expecting the copy of the new lease by the next board meeting. So I
Okay.
think it would be appropriate just to push it towards the March. the
So
next
we
board
can put it
meeting.
on the next one. It wouldn't just be tabled, it'll just come through it as if it's a new, yeah, right. So
Either
that's what
way.
I'm saying. So we have to, it dies now.
And
We
then
can bring it
up
at the
as a new
next one just as a new item.
So then we'll do the same thing, Donisha, for item number 3 with the mural ordinance. Thank you.
Can I ask why, what we're waiting for that one? For the mural ordinance, just to get it drawn up, or looking to other villages for its?
It's been
verbiage?
drawn up, Trustee Gonzalez. What I did do is change the recommending board from the beautification committee to the zoning board. And I am checking with one other village as to how they would approach it, but I think the last concern we had was the zoning board would have input. So that's what I changed, but just need one more review of an ordinance.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 4, discussion approval of the Northern Redevelopment Agreement. And then,
Do you want me to?
yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. If the board recalls, Northern Redevelopment Agreement, Tom Kenrick is here tonight, and Matt Krasecki from Northern. Northern is proposing to purchase the property that we call as the Arquilla site, and the other site that we was owned by Wilkins Produce. They have proposed to build 3 buildings up there. There is no liability from the village's standpoint. They will be TIF notes. There's no GO behind this. They have presented quite a few presentations to Jeff. I know Jeff and Ruben have worked extremely hard from an engineering standpoint. It is zoned properly for this type of use. Once again, the notes would be issued to the developer like we have done before in the past, with no interest attached. So these are just paying principal for TIF eligible cost. The TIF costs in this project are roughly 22% of the entire project, which is about right. They are here tonight. They have made a good, conscious effort to work with Jeff and Ruben to get this project developed. They've been patient. I know their time on their contract is set to expire, I believe, end of this month. I believe we went as far as we possibly could with respect to engineering. They have helped us with a road design out there, along with Jeff, obviously. It would be, and that's a challenging site because of wetlands and a couple other issues, but it's up for the board's review and consideration.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just want to point out for the public's interest on this, because I know that roads are always a big issue as we grow and more trucks through town, but the developer's responsible for 50% of the industrial drive improvement.
Yes, sir.
On this.
On a pro rata basis, it will be improved by our specs, but they will be responsible on a pro rata basis for industrial drive improvements.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Rakes?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Henson?
Present.
Item number 5, discussion approval, read the Seafried redevelopment agreement. Mayor, I'll let you take that.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Mr. Martin is here, attorney for Seafried, Mr. Reefy, and also Mr. Novak from Seafried. If the board recalls, Seafried Development has the property on Ridgeland Avenue under contract. They are looking to purchase that property and develop a spec building on the site. If the board recalls, initially the spec building was roughly going to be 800,000 square feet. That has been reduced substantially to, I believe, a little over 600,000 square feet due to primarily concessions that the developer has made with respect to roadway out there, with respect to easement, and a couple other items that we have requested and they have agreed to. Once again, Jeff and Ruben have been aggressively representing the village with respect to this project. The same situation. This would be a TIF note issued to the company. No interest assigned on the TIF note. It's about 22% of the total project cost. They are not asking for the land to be a TIF reimbursable cost. Most of it will be for infrastructure. It will be a spec building, but they've also agreed that their TIF note will be based on the occupancy of the building. So they have some incentive, and obviously they're very well capable of leasing their property. The sooner the better for them, and the sooner the better for us, in respect that we will have an active occupied building. Again, the TIF note it's from my standpoint, the board can sleep at night. This is not a general obligation. They pay the taxes, we'll reimburse them the money each and every year like we've done with every other developer. But if they don't pay the taxes, we're not responsible for the TIF note. So they call it, a note where there is no responsibility or liability from the village's standpoint. They are here tonight to answer any questions. They would, just like the other gentleman indicated, the time on the precast, there's been delays, so I think each and every developer would like to get some type of resolution to their project.
Good evening. My name is Mike Martin. I'm the lawyer.
Good evening. I'm Dave Reefy, Seafried Properties. Brian Novak with Seafried Properties.
I guess probably the easiest thing is to ask, are there questions? We actually have a presentation prepared, but if you just have questions, we'll take those. It's however you would prefer that we proceed.
I would like to see the presentation.
Yeah, presentation.
I would like
Yeah,
to see
we have a
it.
PowerPoint,
Yeah.
and we won't take that long.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Reefy will address the issues first, and then I'll speak after that.
Thank you. Well, once again, good evening. Can you hear me okay? Yes. Yeah, my name is David Reefy with Seafried Properties. We're located in Chicago. I'm joined tonight by Mike Martin, our zoning attorney, and Brian Novak, our development manager. Seafried is under contract to purchase a 55-acre site from LFI. This site is located in Bailey Ridge Business Park. We've assembled our team. We've been working on this project now for over a year. We have a team of consultants that we've assembled. We've been working closely with the village on this plan. And as the village attorney referenced, we've made some very good progress here since we came and spoke with you last October. As you recall, we were here last October 13th for a presentation much like Crow Holdings did this evening. Since that time, we have been through a staff review with staff, with engineering department, and with the village attorney. We have prepared and updated a traffic study that was prepared by KLOA. In addition, the village commissioned White Associates to do their own traffic study as confirmation to our findings. In addition to that, we've worked with the village attorney on a redevelopment agreement that was referenced in the summary. This process has been very interactive, as we said, and staff, after October 13th, came back with several comments. And we show this slide to show just a markup of some of those major comments. And by and large, as the village attorney mentioned, Seafried has agreed to make adjustments to our plan. These include dedicating 4.17 acres of right-of-way along our west boundary and our south boundary for future right-of-way and roadway that would allow traffic, particularly exiting from the Amazon facility at that signal at the main entrance, to proceed south along our western property line and to avoid that intersection of Monee Manhattan Road and Ridgeland Avenue. We've agreed to construct a public road along our southern boundary. We've agreed to, agreed to construct a public road along our northern boundary. I said southern. We've agreed to construct southbound deceleration lanes. We've agreed to resurface Ridgeland Avenue in conjunction with our restriping. We've agreed to bury all of our power lines along our property, in front of our property along Ridgeland. And we've agreed to make a traffic impact fee contribution towards the improvements at Monee Manhattan Road and Ridgeland of $50,000. In combination, these things that we've agreed to are approximately $2.6 million worth of improvements for the betterment of the village and for the betterment of our site plan. Many of the improvements that we're making and suggestions from the staff were reducing the size and the density of our building. And as Larry said, we originally had this real big building, 800,000 square feet. When we came to you in October, that had been reduced down to 655,000 square feet, and now we've reduced it further with staff input and engineering input. We've reduced the building size by 5%. We've reduced our trailer count by 46%. We've reduced 129 trailer parking spots on the site. Those have been eliminated, largely from that right-of-way that would be dedicated for future roadways. We've reduced our car count by 6 cars and reduced our number of truck docks in our building. With a smaller building, we have less truck docks and 10 fewer truck docks. So overall, the new facility is a less intense operation than what we had presented to you in October. That comes to a cost to us as well because we have a smaller building to rent. And our annual rental income will be lower now with a smaller building than it would be if we were leasing a bigger building. We're not here to complain about that, but we just bring that up as a concession that has been made in this process. What we've ended up with is a revised site plan, and this is the new site plan. I'll let Brian just highlight a couple of features on what we plan to develop here, and this is once again the result of the interactive process with the village over the last 5 months.
Yes, good evening. So this site plan shows the road that the public road that we will be constructing, as Dave referenced. It's on the right-hand side of the plan, which is to the north of the site. So this site is twisted to the right is north. So again, constructing the road along the north property line ends in a cul-de-sac, and the intent is for two things. One is access to that site to the west, and another reason for that is there's some right-of-way that is being dedicated on our west property line, so the top of that page, for a future road that will run to the south and will align with the stoplight at the Amazon site. You can see we have 2 entrances to this site, and as David had mentioned, we've got right turn deceleration lanes coming from the north. We've got left turn lanes that are being restriped on Ridgeland as well. Landscape plan, there's some pretty extensive landscaping that has been incorporated into this plan. It exceeds the village requirements. But the intent is to provide a great-looking building for the village of Monee and for the future tenants as well. The next slide is of preliminary engineering. I don't know that there's a whole lot to talk about here. It looks like a pretty busy plan, so I think it'd be a little tough to run through the details, but the preliminary engineering has been submitted and reviewed by Robinson. Site lighting photometric, we're meeting the site photometric requirements of Monee, and you can see that there's lighting at the new public street to the north, meeting the requirements as well, requirements of Monee. Building elevations, there are 2 entrances to this building, office entrances to the building. The top elevation shows that, so one to the southeast, one to the northeast. The building is designed for multi-tenant. And then it might be a little bit tough to see on this in this view, but multiple colors and a great looking building with a lot of architectural features, some ins and outs and some dimension to that building. The office entrances will look great as you saw in the original rendering. This exhibit demonstrates the right-of-way that's going to be dedicated. Is the shaded area to the right of that plan and to the top of that plan. Again, to the top, that dedication would align with the stoplight at the Amazon facility. Mike, do you want?
My turn?
You want to step over to that?
Sure. I'll let you do I'm a lawyer. I'm not handy with computers. Well, I've worked on this for the last 5 months. Larry has emailed me almost daily with revisions to the redevelopment agreement. And I have to tell you, it's been a pleasure to work with them. My client has, Ruben, Robinson Engineering, and Larry have asked my client from the original, not the original plan, but from the revised, when I was here in October, the 655,000 square foot building, to make, and I'm going to call them improvements because that's what they are. And we were happy to make them. They cost $2.5 million in excess of that from the project budget that we had. But again, it's a spec building. We're building the best building that we can build to attract tenants. And when you talk about that, we're making a $71 million investment in this spec building. We know we can rent it. We ask you to let us have that opportunity to do it. So mitigation of traffic, and that's what I put up, was one of the major concerns that this board had. We had the KOLA study, we had the White study, and some of this has been touched upon, but what we did to mitigate the traffic and the impact of our building is summarized in this slide. I wrote it. We dedicated Ridgeland Avenue right away. We've created a de-acceleration lane. We've created left in-turn lanes on Ridgeland Avenue. We're providing for utilities. We're burying power lines. And we've made provisions for signage out of our site to direct vehicle traffic to the north so it doesn't go down to the Manhattan, Monee, Ridgeland Avenue intersection. And we're regrading and restriping it, not for us, we're doing it for the properties to the south, the gas station and that. We're creating turn lanes there, and we're regrading it and striping that. There's off-site improvements to Ridgeland Avenue for those south properties. We've dedicated and constructed a new roadway along the north of our property. Didn't exist. It was a drive. Planned as a driveway. So now it's going to be a village roadway so it can further extend to the east. And why is that? Well, the village wants another roadway on the west side of our property. Well, we're the first. We're the beginning of that roadway. We're dedicating the right-of-way so that roadway could someday be built. And if the property to the west of us develops, they have to make a similar dedication. And the same thing with the properties to the south. And if those properties develop, that's 3, you get down to the intersection of the Amazon entrance, which already has a traffic signal at Manhattan Monee Road. So when all those workers get off from work, they don't have to go through Ridgeland Avenue and Manhattan Monee Road. They can just drive north of us and go along the new roadway and go out up to Stunkel, if that's where they're going, or to wherever else they're going. So that's a major, major impact that Robinson and Reuben have brought to this village, and we're happy to be the first to make that dedication. And if we end up building it, we get a recapture. So, that, you know, but right now, we're the first, there's no right-of-ways, you know, so we're starting it. And I think that that's one of the biggest impacts that we can have in order to alleviate traffic. Next, I get to talk my favorite, money. We're spending $71 million. We've got our TIF improvements are about 15 million total, a little over 15 million. So we're 21%, just as, like other developments. The current annual real estate tax revenue for this property is $1,100. The projected, after we build the building, is $800,000 total. Now, I round everything, okay? So I've got $800,000. Now, that was a little higher before, but it came down 5% because the buildings reduced 5%, and we also lost 5% revenue, leasing revenue that we could have. We're splitting that with the village, 75-25. So beginning with tax year 2014.
24.
Oh, 2024, I always am going to the 14. You know, he had to correct that typo several times. But beginning with 2024, you know, we hope to have that tax revenue to the village and to us. $200,000 to the village, $800,000 to us. And we have to have that, and we have to have our building occupied, and we have to have a tenant, or we get no tax revenue. So that's just to let you know how that goes. Now, one of the things that I think that is really, really important is Seafried is probably one of the best developers in the country. They brought to you the Amazon site already. They were the developer of that. They're one of the largest developers of Amazon sites in the country. I want you to know that what their business plan is to alleviate any concerns about a spec building is we're not going to see any tax revenue from the TIF. You know, we're going to put the money in, build the building, try to get a tenants in, and that money's not going to start rolling in, if you want to say it rolls in. It's not going to start till 2024, got it right? Yeah. 2025, somewhere in there. Well, you know, in the scope of doing business, that's nothing to us. What that is an incentive to the tenants. So we now have an additional marketing incentive, which other buildings don't have, to attract a tenant that's going to be a good tenant, because that's all we want, is a good tenant, that's going to bring jobs and bring to this community. And maybe, who knows, you know, maybe real estate, I mean, you know, sales tax revenue, that happened with Amazon, you never know. But, you know, that's what our business plan is, and we hope that you will give us approval of this project. Any questions?
No questions, but very thorough. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for listening to the village's concerns, and not only listening to our concerns, but acting on those concerns that we had. Thank you for your patience. I know this has gone on a little bit longer than everyone kind of would have liked, but everyone did their due diligence. That's what's going to solidify this deal. I just, from the village aspect of it, you know, taking care of the traffic needs and issues and concerns, and on your end, and building the facility and getting it up and running. So, but thank you for being a friend to the village.
My pleasure.
Just a little bit, just wanted to say that I'm very glad to have Siegfried still sticking out with us, and I'm glad that developers still come to us and know that Monee is attractive to the developers because of this board's and this administration's willingness to work with you, and that we will be good friends to Siegfried. And again, we're attractive probably because of our proximity to a whole lot of things. But I appreciate what all the concessions that you have made, but the ones that the village has made to allow to continue big development here, because we have a responsibility to our community too, to make sure that we're giving them what they need as well.
I understand.
I think they're doing a wonderful job myself. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I'll make the motion, Mayor.
I'll second it.
Any discussion on that? Roll call, please.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Rakes?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Henson?
Present.
Larry, I do have a question. Just wanted to make sure, because it's not listed as an ordinance. Is it ordinance for either one of these, just an agreement?
The mayor's got the right to sign it tonight, and then I think that would be sufficient. If the council needs a copy of the ordinance, we can have it approved, adopted at the next board meeting. Because all the ordinance will say authorizing the mayor, but the motion tonight authorizes the mayor to sign it.
Okay.
Any new business?
So I had a question, this may be to the clerk.
Yep.
I had a question actually to our during our public safety report, but since we didn't have a public safety report, I would like to interject it at some point. Does it matter if I do it now, or do you want me to do open to the public? Mrs. Clerk? I can do it now? Okay. So this is directed to our chief of police. So concerned residents have come to me regarding our Thorntons and the parking of trucks over there. Now, I believe we have about 12 slots dedicated for truck parking there, give or take more or less. It's been reported that there are many more trucks, let's put it that way, who are parking there on a regular basis. So my question is that a ticketable offense for trucks? Is that something that we enforce? Is that a Thornton issue? Give me some direction on that, please.
It's private property. It's Thornton's property. We do not have any legal authority to enforce parking on that property.
That answers that. Thank you.
And Doug, I think that sometimes when they run out of hours of service, I don't think that they can physically leave if they get off the exit and they pull into that particular place and park. I don't think that they can legally leave once they've reached their hours of service.
The question Larry begs, was it part of their redevelopment agreement that it was not to be?
I believe it was, and if I recall correctly, there was I'll check my file, Chief, but I think there was some discussion with the previous administration about, because they're based out of Louisville, Kentucky, I believe, and we had a couple discussions with them, and I thought that was resolved, but I'll check the file to make sure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, open to the public, non-agenda items. Anybody? Anybody? Everybody's done wants to go home? Okay. All right. Okay.
It's faking us out.
Okay, that was good, that was good. Okay, anybody else? All right, can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
Make that motion, Mary.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Horn.
Yes.
Trustee Rakis.
Yes.
Trustee Wilson.
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez.
Yes.
Trustee Henson.
Yes.